Hi! In this brief video on the basics of commas and non-essentials, we're looking at the ACT College Readiness Standard using commas to set off simple parenthetical phrases. To use commas to separate non-essential phrases means that a writer must separate extra information in a sentence from the basic information. Sometimes we need to add extra information in a sentence. However, if we don't show our readers that it's extra information by separating it from the rest of the sentence, then confusion may be the result for the reader. In the sentence that we're looking at here, Jim, the clerk at the corner, forgot to give Patty her change. We must look at what the essential information is and what the non-essential information is. The way that we can do this is to look at the sentence and figure out how it would read without certain pieces of the sentence. So, for instance, if we were to simply take out the part that said, the clerk at the corner, and read it this way, Jim forgot to give Patty her change, we understand that that sentence makes sense and has all of the essential information, leading us to the conclusion that the phrase, the clerk at the corner, is a non-essential. Remember, we need to separate non-essential phrases with commas. So, using our black pen here, we're going to do that. We're going to place a comma after Jim, and we're going to place another comma after corner, basically setting the non-essential information off on its own. Reading, Jim, the clerk at the corner, forgot to give Patty her change. Things to notice here. Again, notice the comma and the closing comma, and also notice the non-essential phrase, the clerk at the corner. Alright, let's take another look. In this example, which reads, Kevin, who asked Jim to be at school by 8, showed up late anyway, you can see that without any commas or proper punctuation, this can be a difficult sentence for readers to initially read and possibly even to understand. So let's look at the words and figure out what our essential information is and what is non-essential. Kevin, who asked Jim to be at school by 8, showed up late anyway. Well, if we read that carefully, we begin to understand that these terms, who asked Jim to be at school by 8, is really important information, but it isn't essential to understanding the entire sentence. Let's underline the non-essentials. How do we know that it's non-essential? Well, let's read it without it. Kevin showed up late anyway. And we'll place that right there. And so we understand that all of those pieces make sense, and that sentence has all of the essential information, telling us that Kevin showed up late anyway is the essential part of the sentence, meaning who asked Jim to be at school by 8 is non-essential. And what do we need to do then? Simply separate that portion of the sentence off with commas. Again, notice comma, comma, closing our non-essential information, all of this, off from the rest of the sentence. Take a look at this one and try it on your own. Now let's take a look at it together. That, my friends, is awesome. Our non-essential information is hiding right here. The sentence makes sense on its own, when it says, "That is awesome." So, we're going to use our commas to separate the non-essential information, which is right here, my friends. And now we have the essential information, "That is awesome," separated from the non-essentials, my friends, by our friends, the commas. So let's reflect on this for a moment. Why is the correct version in any of the examples before better than the incorrect version? Remember, the basic goal of all writing is to be clear so that the reader understands exactly what the author intends. We have two goals whenever we write, specifically related to basics of commas and non-essentials. The first is that we need to avoid writing sentences that incorrectly separate non-essential information. We need non-essential information to be separated properly with commas. We also want to be able to recognize and fix sentences that incorrectly separate non-essential information. And those are our two goals. When we can do that, we'll begin to have clearer writing, and our readers will more directly and easily understand what we're trying to say as writers.